Hello friends, it's Lisa and I'm back with another flip page. So today's flip page is similar to one I created a few days ago, and this is the Guilt-Free Craft Day. But really the star of the show is the background, so I want to show you that. Right now I'm showing you kind of the colors that I picked out to do this project. So you can see I'm using the Silver Pebeo Gilding Wax, Blue Topaz Spectrum Noir Sparkle Marker, the Sky Blue Pink Fresh Liquid Watercolor, the Celery Avery L Liquid Watercolor, the Parakeet Harmony Ink Pad, and a BG23 marker, Copic marker. So those are the ones I'm using. If you're interested, I have them all linked on the blog post that goes along with this. So if you're interested in any of those supplies, you can check them out there. So I really loved the background on this. The Guilt-Free Craft Day Saturday looked okay, but I'm in love with the background, and I think the colors I used are awesome. The technique is so fun, and I'm totally going to do it again on a piece that I can really showcase this background. So let's get right into it. First of all, I'm picking a spot on my stencil. Sorry, I have the tape on the holder that holds my camera, so it got a little wiggly there. But I'm going ahead and putting some masking tape down and just masking this to the stencil. Since I'm masking it to the stencil, I won't have any white spots on the other side. Next thing I'm going to do is grab some of the colors. So I'm using the Cricut Craft board in white. So it's not a watercolor paper, but I have found that it takes watercolor pretty well. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to paint a beautiful picture, but if you're just wanting to put some water down, get some color on there, it's going to be fine. And it's really thick, so that's awesome. First, I'm going to start with the Blue Topaz Spectrum Noir marker, and I'm just coloring the edges with this. Do not worry. This is going to get a little messy on the stencil. Your fingers are fine. This is not like super messy project like glitter. This is not a glitter project. But the water will run under, and that is totally fine. So I've sped it up a little bit so we can head through this faster. I am simply putting the color down there. There is no fancy watercolor moves that I'm using, just tracing the outline with the dark color. Next, I'm coming in with the Pink Fresh Sky Blue ink. You can see there I shook it up. It's a pigment liquid watercolor, so you need to shake it up to really get a nice, pretty color, or even color, I should say. Then I'm going in and just watercoloring that out. I'm trying to get some of the Blue Topaz sparkle marker to kind of bleed out so then there's not harsh lines. I'll go back in a few minutes with that Blue Topaz marker and add some shadows, but right now I'm just trying to blend. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to look great. So you can see I'm just continuing on with this. The water and the ink is going under the stencil. We want that. That is fine. One thing you may want to note is before you take the paper off, and you'll see that in just a minute, to mark kind of where you had the paper, that'll be helpful. I had to kind of work with what I got. Just a quick hint. So next I'm adding some more of the Blue Topaz Sparkle Marker just to add some depth and dimension here. So you can see, even though I didn't blend everything out perfectly, which you would do a lot better in a watercolor paper, since I didn't use watercolor paper, some of that sparkle marker, because it is a dye ink, dyed the paper too much to really water out. But that's okay. It gives it a little bit of definition, gives the shapes a little bit of definition, which is definitely something that's needed and helpful. Next, I'm taking this celery, sorry, having trouble saying that word, Celery Avriel ink, or liquid watercolor, I should say, sorry, and adding it into the other spirals and leaves. These colors look really good together, and I actually really liked when the blue kind of soaked up into some of the green. It gave it some darker green colors, and just had more of that watercolor feel, which is what I was going for. I didn't feel like watercoloring a beautiful flower. I just wanted a beautiful watercolored flower in these colors. And so this was a super easy, super awesome way to do that. So as soon as I've got that, I put the first layer down, and then now I'm just adding a little bit darker spots just to get some variation. Then I'm taking it off. I made the first mistake here and did not mark where I had put it. So I think I cut it out, but I searched and searched for where that came from on both sides, could not find it. I found a flower that was really close, and I used that. So you'll see that in just a minute, but I'm heat setting it just to quickly dry it so I can move on as well. I did heat set from the back to keep it from curling too much, and then I'll just kind of bend the paper back. And it was fine. So here you see I'm starting to look for the right flower. I had a lot of trouble. Finally, I found this one, and it's on the edge, so obviously it's not the one I used, but it was close enough. So I'm taking my Pilot pen, and this is in black, and I'm just drawing around the edges. So you can see I took my time on this. I'm going to speed it up in just a second, but I wanted you to see the speed I actually go. I have taped this down, so it's something you'll definitely want to do, especially with the little bit of curling that happens. You want to tape it down, tape the stencil down, and just go slowly around the edges. I think this would look really cool with a paint pen. If you did like the flower in a blue paint pen marker and the greenery in a green paint pen marker, that would look really cool too. But I wanted to go black. I want it to be bold and graphic, and it turns out really cool. I really loved this technique. So here you can see I'm moving faster. After I finish getting the blue flower, or most of it, drawn in, I start moving the paper around to find the swirly bits and some leaves. It's all similar, so it's okay if it's not perfect. You can see there that flower petal goes outside the blue, and actually I really like that because it adds to that whimsical graphic look. I didn't want this leaf right here to be quite so in the white. I wish I'd done it a little bit further than I did, but I didn't want it too far, so I moved it in a little bit. That's the great thing about stencils, is it gives you almost everything. You can move it around and change things. So I'm going to continue. You can see I'm just going through trying to find a good petal that semi-matches. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going for good enough right here. I don't know if you do that in your crafting, but I definitely, some days I'm going for good enough. And this was definitely one of those days. And surprisingly, good enough was super awesome. So here I'm using this little swirly thing. You'll see that it goes into the flower. I just draw down to where I want it to end, and then I move it up. You can even just put the edge of the stencil and just draw a line there. I do that later. So here you can see the blue ran into the green, and it made that super pretty emerald color. I loved it. I was a little sad that I didn't get more of that. So next time I do this, I'm definitely going to do some more of the color blending. I think I'm going to even do it in these colors. Oh, it was just, I was super happy with how this turned out. I was a little sad that I covered so much of it up, but you do what you got to do. I had all this stuff already designed. Oh, about that, if you're interested in seeing how I designed the little pieces that I'd cut out, I have a video a couple videos back, and I'll link that at the end of this video, so if you're interested. It's just the first few minutes. I used Cricut Design Space and cut it out with my Cricut Maker. Next, I'm going to take the Pebeo Silver Metallic Gilding Wax and just putting a little bit of this on. I thought it would really enhance it. I was sad that this part was so big. I made the craft day really big because I was so excited about it. That's my reward. So if you don't know why I'm doing these little reward things, that's fine. I have a vlog about it a few videos back, so go ahead and check that out if you're interested. But the reward is if I do my Get Organized challenge for this week, which will be week 7, then I'll get a free craft day. So basically what that means for me is that I can craft and do whatever I want all day and just have fun and not feel guilty about it. So that's super exciting, but it also is a little bit big on this beautiful background, so I was a little sad I covered that much of it up. You'll see now I got some of that gilding wax in the little crevices. I tried to clean that up before peeling the craft day off, just so I didn't get any of it stuck behind, which would make it less gluey, stick downy, however you want to say that. So I stuck that down, and I'm doing my trick of drawing around the edges of this, which you can see just makes it a whole lot more legible. You can read it with or without it, it just helps a lot. So you'll see, if you watch a couple videos back, I used white, but since this has such a light background, the black pen works better. It's really simple and easy to do, and it adds a whole lot. Now you see I used the Parakeet Harmony ink pad on the Guilt Free. I'm going to cut that down a little bit because I really wanted it to be smaller. The Saturday and the Guilt Free are, I color both of the little words in with the black pen just to make them a little bit more legible and graphic. I also draw around the edges, so you'll see that in just a minute. I kind of wish I hadn't added the Saturday. If I had just done the guilt-free craft day, I think that would have been nice. You'll see that this is not the exact same thing as what I did last time. i.e., last time I had a background that I'd had the maker draw on. I literally cannot find it in my craft room, which is saying something because my craft room is pretty small and relatively organized. I say relatively, just in the sense that I should not have lost that, but I have, and it's nowhere to be found. So that's why I had to think up something new. And I thought this, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. It seems like such a simple way to do really loose, fun watercolor really fast. So let me know if you try this, and if you do, post it on Instagram and tag me because I'd love to see it. Oh my gosh. There may be other people out there who've thought of this, but I thought of it and I was like, oh my gosh, this has to be super cute. And it turned out amazing. So here you can see I'm just going around the edges just to define those. And that is it. So this is the second to last one. The last one is tomorrow, and it's also super cute. So make sure you come back and see that. And have a wonderful day, guys. Thanks so much.